Hi guys, M.V.K here, coming to you again. How's everybody doing on their end? Hope everybody's well. This weekend, I should say, yeah, this weekend, last weekend, past weekend, I sat down and watched something I was looking forward to. We've been waiting for it. It finally came. That's why I said, you know, this May was a good week to be a geek. We had Spider-Man, we had Godzilla, X-Men, and now and then none other than Street Fighter, Assassin's Fist. Yeah, uh, a series that just showcase, as I said before, and I've been saying it all along, time and effort. This is what you get. You get magic, and that's what Assassin's Fist was. So this is going to be more of a, not just a review, but also a praise to everybody behind this. From the writers, the producers, the actors, the music composers, everybody. I'm going to be honest with you, I really have no real big complaints about the series. So it's just going to be me just giving my respects to everybody. But it's been a long time since I've watched something that I'm very passionate about and actually teared watching it. Getting misty-eyed and tear, let alone cry, of joy, tears of joy. The last time I actually did that was their first Spider-Man movie. Was joy and sorrow, but still, if I'm crying or tearing at something that I like, then that means you got it down. You got it down packed. And that's what you guys did with this. So, what is the main synopsis of this story, of this series, is showcasing Ryu and Ken, of course, the two main characters of the series, learning the past from their master Goken, learning from his master and what happened with his brother, and which comes all full circle. But that's pretty much the whole basis of it, and showcasing also what I also felt was showcasing the love that Goken had for his students. What any kind of father figure would have for his surrogate sons, even though Ken has a father, but still, he looked at Ken as a son. And of course, Ryu, he dang near raised, so it was great to see that. So, let's talk about the cast, shall we? I want to talk about the cast, and I made sure I wrote down everybody's name, took notes. And if I apologize if I butcher anybody's name, I don't mean it. I don't mean to apologize if I butcher your name, but I'm gonna try my best to pronounce everybody's name with the right pronunciation. So here I go. Okay. So let's start off with the main two characters first. Okay. Let's start with them. All right, Mr. Christian Howard, you were Ken Masters. All I can say, sir, is you captured the character very well. Not only did you capture his personality pretty well, especially younger Ken. This is supposed to be young Ken, where he's a little bit more headstrong and not, I wouldn't say arrogant, but he feels that he can do everything to a degree himself. He doesn't need too much guidance, in a sense. He sees it once, okay, I got it. Okay, yeah, hi sensei, I got it. I don't need your help. Don't, things like that. So I would say a little bit of arrogance, but not too much. Brash. Is that a better word to use? But other than that, he captured the character very well from when we saw him in that first Street Fighter Legacy 3 minute. You know, he looked just like Ken, especially a little bit older Ken. But yeah, he captured it very well. Um, the costumes were great. You know, his hair, he was longer Ken, so this was like Alpha. You know, so it was really there. You know, he saw it. It was, and he captured very well. The only thing I would say I nitpicked at with Ken was he kind of had a little dirty mouth. It was like, whoa, he kind of swears a lot. I'm like, I don't remember Ken swearing a lot, you know. But other than that, he was perfect. He captured it so well. Mr. Mike Mole. Once again, I talked to you, sir. And Ryu and Ken. Ryu is my #1 favorite Street Fighter character. There's this. You think you can't learn things from fictional characters, but you can. And Ryu is one of those characters you can learn a lot from, just the way he carries himself. And you, sir, you carried yourself just so much like Ryu. Since he is my favorite, I'm gonna look at the actor who portrays him closely and make sure you know, like, let me make sure you're doing this character justice. You, sir, you did justice. And when he and Mr. Howard were together, you saw the chemistry between them, and it was just like they have the characters down. It was to the point I looked at it, I was saying to myself, that's Ryu and Ken right there. That is exactly how they would talk to each other, how they would act. Perfect. Mr. Akira Koyama, who played older Goken, played it very well. Played the role very well. A lot of his portrayal of Goken was in the facial, especially in the face. Like, you saw the essence of Goken in his eyes. Eyes played a lot in this series. That was one thing I really showcased a lot. I loved that they showcased the eyes. Eyes played a lot for the characters, and you saw that fatherly figure, and the love for his students, especially between Ken and Ryu. He never looked at Ken, especially as, oh, he's just one of my foreign students, a foreign student. No, and I use that I say that because in the series they looked at Ken as a foreigner. There's a guy in this series that always teased Ken because he was the foreigner. I'll spoil that for you, but I'm not spoiling anything else. But we saw that in the series. But he portrayed Koyama-san. He portrayed it, Goken, so well. You know, I looked at him like, he's got the character down. You know, you looked at it. It was like when he needed to be hard on them, he was hard on them. When he questioned them, he questioned them. Things like that. You know, he was pushing his students to their full potential. And for that, Mr. Akira Koyama, thank you. Now we go to the past, because that's how the series kind of it was present, and then it went past. It went from 1956 to 1976, I believe, to the 1980s. I think 1987 or so. But in the back during the 1950s, so this is post World War II, pretty much. We had young Goken, young Goki, his brother, and Gosetsu, who was Goki and Goken's sensei, and his niece, Sayaka, in the series. So younger Goken was portrayed by the actor Shojin Iyokatsu, Kazu. I hope I pronounced your last name right, sir. Um, I liked his portrayal of young uh, Goken. It it showcased the differences. It didn't really showcase too much of a difference from his older self, but it showcased what he was to become. How he walked that path of with hard work and diligence pays off in terms of taking the easy way, going the easy route of the path. Sometimes the easy way is not always the right way. It's sometimes the harder route is the more efficient route, and we saw that. Um, and he was really good at it, you know. So yeah, I definitely appreciate him for that. And uh, Gaku, Space, who played Goki, his eyes, man, his eyes told the story of the difference between he and his brother. How he felt that the same routines of training routines, the chain katas and everything, not going to get us anywhere. Master Sensei is holding us back. It's time. So he is, in a sense, taking that, in a sense, that different route than his brother. And we saw those, you know, the what was to come from him, what his future was gonna lie in. Good stuff. His eyes, ladies and gentlemen, told story. And man, especially when he would lose, all in the eyes, all in the eyes. So yeah, he did a very good job. Haruyu Rai, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Miss Lee, who played Sayaka. Very, very, very. You cannot say anything wrong about Asian women. I'm sorry. Very beautiful, very beautiful. But she captured what we were supposed to see. Like, is kind of keeping the balance between the brothers, especially Goki, of really going off to the dark side, in a sense, but you could see that. And she was Master Gosetsu's niece that stayed at the dojo with her uncle, and she did a very good job of portraying that humanity and the light that is keeping the dark at bay, in a sense, from, you know, Goki, which we saw in that. And legendary actor Togo Igigawa, who played Master Gosetsu, nothing I can complain about. Not at all. Portrayed it very well. So, very well indeed. So I had nothing to complain about that. You know, it was like watching. It would be like, in a sense, watching a great actor, like you just named somebody, portraying Julius Caesar. That's what I got from Mr. Igigawa, playing Gosetsu. He was just. I don't think watching that series and watching his portrayal, I don't think I could have seen anybody else playing the role better than he did. That's saying a lot. And Mark Killian, who played Ken Master's father, for the scenes he was in, he did a good job. He wasn't in a lot, but when he was there, it was good to see. It was like watching a troubled father try to guide his son, who was troubled himself at the time because of a certain death that happened. And, you know, he's a father really almost knocking on death's door in the terms of, and when I mean that, I mean he's falling and he's trying to get back up to where he can feel at peace with himself and find that relationship that and plug that hole that is dampening he and his son's relationship. So yeah, he portrayed that very well. So yeah, those pretty much, and then of course I cannot leave out Joey Azar, who played when we saw Goki fully be brace the dark Hador, as you know, like in a sense brace the dark side, and became the demon Akuma, and when he came, if that was him, if that was you, Mr. Azar, doing that dark, edgier voice, you had it down. I was like, ooh, look at that, hear that voice, like, you know. But if it was more, you know, effects, but still, it was great, you know, while he, what he and basically him saying, things like that, it was just like, oh, God, and he portrayed it very well. So, and then I have to give praise to them for adding Yoshinori Ono into the series. I looked at that, I'm like, no way, that's not. And then I was like, yeah, that is him. Now, for all those who don't know who Yoshinori Ono is, he's a game designer for Capcom. He's made plenty of games for Capcom. He was the one that also responsible, but keeping it Street Fighter, he was the one responsible for the Street Fighter sub-series, Street Fighter 4 sub-series. It was great to see that. I was like, oh, that's so cool. So the cast, well done. Producer-wise, Miss Jacqueline Kuela. I hope I'm saying your name right as well. Kuela. I hope, like I said, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Miss. Thank you very much. Though we don't give enough praise to the producers, I have to, because she helped bring Mr. Christian Howard and Joey Azar's vision and dream to life. So, yes, my lady, you get praise. So for all people behind it, so producer, actor wise, great. Now to go on to the music composer, Mr. Patrick Gill is still doing the composing. I believe somebody else helped him on it as well, arranged the music, but Mr. Patrick Gill captured the utter Street Fighter of the series, from Ryu's theme to every other theme, and it was just well done. I loved it. So yeah, got actors, producers, the directors, the writers, which are both Joey Azar and Christian Howard, and the composers out of the way. So did this series capture the essence of Street Fighter to its fullest? Yes. In terms of what I was looking for, yes. Like I said, not a lot to nitpick at, but you can see that Mr. Azar and Mr. Howard took bits and pieces from popular Street Fighter series in the mythos. For example, there's a scene in the series, which I'm not gonna say which episode, but it's a scene in the series where we see Ken and Ryu having like a night off from training, in a sense, and they go to a bar, and knowing that they are underage to drink, but they see a street fighting going on against, I believe they were GI soldiers, and I'm like, now where have I seen this from? Oh yeah, Street Fighter V anime series. And I was like, if that's where they captured that from, congratulations, because only a true Street Fighter fan will recognize that scene and be like, it's from a scene. I'm not gonna say which episode, but it's from, and you look at it and you're like, hey, it was from there. I know where that's from. So it was that was really done well. And once again, Christian Howard and um, uh, Moho's portrayal of the characters in that scene, spot on. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to see that. Uh, let's talk about the choreography, fighting choreography, the training that I would seem to think all the actors went through to really get down packed these characters' personalities when they're fighting. We saw that, and it was, once again, it was magic. From Goken to Gokis to, you know, how we saw it. I mean, when we look at Goki and Goken's fighting style, it's not the same as Ryu and Ken's. Goken's is more, while Goki's is more, where it looks more like he's more aggressive, like a tiger, which was great. Goken's seems more like a tree, and he's solid, and with Ryu and Goken, I mean Ryu and Ken, excuse me, we saw the difference. Because at first, what do we all see in the first Street Fighter and Street Fighter 2? It was always, Ryu and Ken's was always up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, right? While later on in the series, we started to see Ryu's was still the classic bam, 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 while Ken's was more side, almost to the side, moving almost like a boxer. Well, we saw that in there, right? We saw that. And we kind of see where Ken must have gotten that from. Not going to spoil from who, but it's in there. You got to just, you got to watch for the Easter eggs in a sense. And you see it in there. But it was well done. So I applaud everybody. I applaud all of them for the training. Even the stances, the katas, when they had, you saw, especially when, okay, here's an example. When Goki or Akuma wins in a match, when he gets into that stance, when he wins, like his fighting stance victory, what does it look like? It's very aggressive, and he's crouching, and he's like on his tippy toes. We saw that in there. We saw that, and it was beautifully done. And I was just like, God damn! I was like, God damn, it's perfect. So yeah, it was well done. Also, like I said, with fighting choreography, me, it wasn't a lot of close-ups where you couldn't see what the actors were doing. It was a lot of you could fully see both actors, and you saw what they were doing, which was well done. When it was needed to be close up, you could see the close up, but still, you could still see what the actors were doing, which still told the great story. That's why I'm praising the fighting stances and fighting choreography, because those told stories of the characters as well. And of course, one of the major fighting. There were two major fight scenes in this series, really, that I looked at being the major fight. The fighting scene between the two rivals, two best friends, brothers, but rivals, Ryu and Ken, and the rival from the past, the fight between Gosetsugu and, like I said, if I'm butchering name, I apologize, and Akuma. And that fight, and those fights were great, well choreographed, and man, it was epic to see that, and it was epic to see Akuma, the demon, do, which that's what it stands. That's what Akuma is, a demon. What you saw him do, a certain move that is back, forward, low kick, high punch. Sorry guys. You saw that in there, and It was beautiful. It was done. So the choreography was great. Um, so that was great. And in terms of the visual effects, visual effects wise was good too. I I would have to say it's probably the best looking uh Hadouken live action wise. We haven't really seen the Hadouken really live action. I'm talking Hollywood wise instead of just a dang Flash. But you know, I made this joke when I was watching the series. Well, I shouldn't say it wasn't really a joke. It was actually I really meant what I said. But I got kind of a lot of plus number ones for saying it. But I literally put "suck it, Hollywood, watch and learn," and I didn't mean that as a joke. I meant that for real, because once again, I've always said in hour and a half you couldn't do what these guys did. You didn't even come near what they did. Come close. Joey Azar and Christian Howard and them are on top of Mount Everest, just enjoying the fruits of their labor, while they're almost in a sense looking down at Hollywood and just shaking their head. That's the way I look at it. It's like, sucks to be you guys, because you don't get it right. They did. And the visual effects in that was good. From the fireball to the Shoryuken to everything you would picture what the Anasescu, you know, the fighting art of Ryu and Ken and Goku and all of them basically delivered. From the dragon punch to the hurricane kick, you know, of course, you're not gonna get, you know, the real deal hurricane where these guys are, but for what they captured, it was beautiful with that hurricane kick. You know, I was not factoring them to have them on a wire spinning around crazy willy-nilly, you know, like, no. The way they did it, I was like, that's the best way to portray the actual hurricane kick. So I was fine with that. But the Shoryuken, the dragon punch, that was well done. And the fireball, the Hadouken, was well done as well. Like I said, people look at, I've heard and seen people look at the fireball, the Hadouken, and say it's the same thing as the doing the Kamea wave, going Dragon Ball here. But you know, it's just this. But it's not. It's not this. It's more like that, and you can see that in the game. If you pause the game while they're about to do it, you see it where it's more of a wham, and then it's almost like they push, not just this. It's more they're releasing their chi and pushing into that. So they portrayed it very well. So I appreciate that as well. You know, I saw that and I was just like, got it. They got it. But you saw a lot of that stuff in this series, and I was just so happy to see the effort that we kept hearing. You know, Mr. Howard and Mr. Azar and them just talking about what's to come and how this is gonna look, and you know, and then when we see the finished product, got magic. So with all that being said, you know, the story was down packed. The costume designs, the fight choreography, the music, the actors' portrayal of the characters. All in all, if I was to give this a grade, A+. A+. Or I should say 5 fireballs. 5 out of 5 fireballs. Because you portrayed it very well. I also have to spoil one thing. It's after I think it's before. I believe it's before Ken cuts his hair, and before Ryu gets the traditional red bandana. And does he get... Now, I'm going to spoil this for you. Does he get it from Ken? Yes, he does. He gets it from Ken. He does get it from Ken, which it's true. He's supposed to get that from Ken. Ken's dad sends Ryu and Ken a package in the mail. What was in that package? Mega Man. Classic Mega Man. And he opens it up and he's like, Ryu, look. And they're like, oh yeah. And they go play. And I love it. And there's a line in here that is so funny. But it makes absolutely a lot of sense because I can vouch for what Mike Momoa, Ryu said. They're playing Mega Man. Now you gotta remember, this is the 80s. So they're playing it on a classic NES, which is great because I'm a child of the 80s, so it was really cool to see that. And they're playing it, and they're taking turns. If one dies, they get a crack at it. Ken dies, he gives it over to Ryu. And Ryu's playing it, and Ken says he's like, for a country bumpkin, you sure are good at video games. And Ryu says, I'm Japanese. It's in our blood. We made the games. And I was like, you know what? Maybe as corny as that may have sounded, but it's absolutely freaking true. Have you ever played a gamer from the land of the rising sun in any game, especially a fighting game? I have, and I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, they are truly, truly masters at it. And I got beat. I played Street Fighter 4 and against a person from Japan. I believe she was female or it was a guy. I can't remember. But all I remember is he beat me 2 rounds straight. I got maybe 1 hit on this guy, and I couldn't beat this guy at all. But still, as honorable as it was, he commented and he actually talked to me. He's like, you had a good fight. It wasn't as if he dominated the fight, but he was able to beat me though. He still was able to beat me, and that's why I've always said, when you're playing somebody in a game from Japan, be on your guard because they're going to be freaking good. And that's how I looked at that scene. I was just like, that makes perfect sense. I'm not even joking about that. But other than that, this series was just perfect. It was well done. It was perfectly done. Now, if anybody comes to me, so how would you compare the Mortal Kombat to the Street Fighter web series, Chris? I'm not going to, and I would never compare the two. They're still different. There's a lot of differences between Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, and so I won't compare the two. I'm sorry, I can't compare them, and I won't compare them. But it was well done. Like I said, when you capture something that I love with passion, and it can make me tear up, tears of joy, you've done something right. Now, and that is the realest I can be, and I wouldn't be myself, guys, if I didn't be real and keep it real. That's how it was for me. Like I said, I have really no complaints of what I saw. Like I said, I wasn't like, I didn't really feel the need for Ken to have a foul mouth, but like I said, that's just me nitpicking a little bit. But that didn't harbor any, negativity against the series. No, it was just something that I thought was really, wow, okay. But everybody portrayed their character so well, and hopefully this is not the end of the series, because it seems like they just said it was a season. So hopefully we Street Fighter fans will get more of this from Mr. Christian Howard and Joey Azar, and showcase more of what's to come. And I'm gonna read something that pretty much Mr. Azar has stated in from a standpoint, and he basically said where he has stated that on several online publications, one of them being uh, Game Reactor, that uh, that if the show is a success, and I'm hoping it is, um, he would like to adapt the World Warrior story arc of Street Fighter 2 World Warrior, uh, basically for the sequel, and feature our favorite, the first lady of fighting games. She's got legs and she knows how to use them, Miss Chun-Li, and Mr. Old Flat Top himself, Guile. And he has publicly discussed possibly casting Mr. Scott Adkins as Guile. All I can say for that, Mr. Azar, make it happen. I can take Scott Adkins as Guile. I could take that. That'd be cool. I think that would be really cool. I could picture Mr. Adkins with the flat top, high top, flat top, and he's very physically fit, so he would fit Guile, and he's very agile himself. So the somersault kick or flash kick would not be that unbelievable for him, and I could see that. Who could play? Who could play Chun-Li? Just get Samantha Yo again as Chun-Li. That's my pick for Chun-Li. If y'all do Chun-Li, get her. The same, I would say, try to get her, the same woman that portrayed her in the battle fight scene. And it was the same woman that portrayed Kitana in the Street Fighter, in the Mortal Kombat series. She could play Chun-Li. I'd go with her. That's just me. My fantasy casting for Chun-Li. But besides that, we did hear names dropped in the series, and I'm not going to spoil those names. You just got to find out for yourselves. But the series was great. I loved it. I don't want to go off praising them off as much as I need be, but I went on long enough. I enjoyed the series. You guys tell me what you thought about the series. Did you like it? Did you hate it? And I want to know, what did you hate about the series? And but other than that, to all my Street Fighter fans, we got what we wanted. Once again, thank you to everybody behind this. Thank you, Mr. Howard. Thank you, Mr. Azar. Thank everybody, because you made this Street Fighter fan very happy, and I want to thank you. But other than that, this is Mumbling Kid saying peace, one love, stay tuned, keep it real as always. I will see you guys next time. You guys take care.